Pictures Podcast.
It may hold nothing, but that's not why they're made.
I know, it's become a trend.
Right? It has become a trend. Dune didn't know what they were doing when they started that, what they would unleash, you know. But I do want that IMAX Odyssey one, and I will get it. And it's going to be cool. It's going to be dope.
I will say, I'm not a big popcorn guy, like popcorn bucket guy. Like, they're cool, but, and don't get me wrong, like the IMAX one is cool. I guess if there is one, I'd own it, but I don't know. I can't see myself ever owning one.
It exists. You can still order it right now.
So they're still available? They're not sold out yet? I guess
as of this morning, they were still available.
How do I look it up?
Look up Regal IMAX Popcorn Bucket. Yeah. Live right now, Jose Mendoza, the co-host of Popcorn and Pictures, along with your other host, Sam Karpinski. He is right now, this very moment, looking at potentially purchasing the IMAX camera Popcorn Bucket released as a tie-in for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Will Jose succeed? They're still available. Is Jose going to buy it? Who knows? Who knows? Oh, he's shaking his head. He's shaking his head now. No, he's going to exercise sales resistance. He's going to resist the temptation. Unlike me, who exercise no sales resistance whatsoever. Look, we're recording this on opening weekend of The Odyssey. And you probably should be going and watching The Odyssey instead of listening to this podcast. I'm just saying. But we're talking about The Odyssey another time, right, Jose?
Yeah. Christopher Nolan, he's a big fan of this episode. Like Wimpy, as we talked before. Yeah. He'll be a special guest on the next episode.
We might even get Matt Damon on to say a few words as well about his most difficult role. So,
shoot, dang it! All right,
how about that?
Christopher Nolan just texted that
on the podcast.
He can't make it. Okay, so we have to record without him. Dang it! He just texted me.
Sorry, folks. Sorry to give you false hope there. Yeah, rightfully so. He's busy.
It was going to happen, but
it was going to happen. It all happened once he's recovered from the premiere. You know, he said it took the stamina. You know, it took a lot of stamina for him to make the movie. So with all that being said, go watch The Odyssey in theaters now. We will talk about that another day, another episode. Right now, we're going to catch up. It's been a little bit of time. We got a few movies to talk about. Some would be blockbusters, some art house films. One that's kind of in between, if you will, in my opinion. And we might talk about some other stuff, too. Who knows? You know, I saw a great July 4th movie. You know, I think we should give a mention to that. You know, even though we're 2 weeks removed from July 4th, at this point, it's a movie worth talking about. You might say. Anyway, it's a very patriotic movie. Do you want me to spoil it? I figure we'll get to that once we're kind of we're doing
talking about the Minions.
No, we're talking about the Minions and the monsters too, but that's not what I'm talking about. Anyway, so Jose, let's talk about the next entry in the DC cinematic universe, Supergirl, not directed by James Gunn, produced by James Gunn, directed by Craig Gillespie. And, what's your initial thoughts of Supergirl? Clearly one of the best superhero movies ever, right?
No. Well, funny enough, we got to bring up how I was late to my movie, if you remember. A few minutes in, and I took a picture of the screen to send it to Sam because I wasn't confident I was sitting in the right movie. I'm like, is this the right movie, Sam? I was kind of worried because I was already running late, and I'm like, well, I don't want to be any late to the movie. I got to find out now. I couldn't wait to see the next scene because I'm like, well, I don't want to miss any more that I've already missed. And then as it turns out, I wasn't watching what's that movie called? He-Man, Masters of the Universe. I was watching Supergirl. I thought I was watching Masters of the Universe for a second.
I mean, they're both box office bombs, so I mean,
True. But yeah, Supergirl. I have a question because I missed the first opening scene, and this is something that I always want to know. The first Superman movie with James Gunn, the one that he directed, the opening logo for his like new DC expansion universe thing, it's like a comic of
the
Superman,
original
kind of like,
Action Comics #1. Yeah. Or not, I guess not Action Comics #1, but it was one of the early Action Comics poses.
Did they? Is it still Superman, or are they changing it for the protagonist?
No, it was still Superman.
Dang, that's a shame.
Why?
There was like something on I was seeing on social media where
the reason the universe exists.
No, but there was I saw like on Instagram a lot of artists like, oh, it'd be cool if James Gunn kind of like changed the logo to reflect like the actual character that the movie's about.
Maybe.
And I thought that would be cool, but
yeah, a missed opportunity, I suppose. Much like the rest of the film.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, Supergirl. It's about Supergirl and her misadventures. Yeah, and her dog is sick, and she's got to go rescue the dog. There's side characters whose family. It's not a spoiler, happens early on, but she's avenging her family after being murdered by a villain who is remarkably boring. I'm kind of just really honing into the movie.
Hey, it's not every movie that can have a sex trafficker as the main villain. Not every superhero movie, that is.
True, Lex Luthor, for example.
Lex Luthor doesn't get a sex trafficking. It's so boring. Such an uninteresting character.
But I will admit, I mean, it's been a while since we actually got together, you and I. We've been busy with lives. You came back from Hawaii. I remember when I left this movie, I was kind of pleasantly surprised considering that my bar was super low. But, it's been weeks after sitting with it. And there's still things I like about the movie. In fact, I have notes I'm going to go eventually, or I'll go out throughout this episode. But yeah, it just didn't really sit with me just didn't quite hit, I'll admit. I mean, you want to give your thoughts? I'll open my notes in just a second.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so not to go on a rant so soon, but yes, to go on a rant so soon. I'm so irritated that Hollywood seems to be incapable of making a good solo female superhero driven movie. I mean, I can't think of one off the top of my head that featured a female superhero that was unequivocally good. There have been strong female superhero characters, but it's usually been in the context of an ensemble, like, say Black Widow and the Avengers, but then you get like a Black Widow solo movie and it's kind of mediocre as can be and boring. And DC is no exception. Now, I mean, I will say like the film had an uphill battle to begin with just because Supergirl obviously isn't as popular of a character as Superman. Isn't even, for that matter, I said Black Widow isn't anywhere near the popularity of Black Widow now. So you're finding that, but that's no excuse to give a so-so bland as can be movie. And that's what we got. And it was just frustrating because, as somebody who's read the comics, like I know all of these characters have like great potential. But for whatever reason with female superheroes in particular, it seems like it's consistently missing the mark. And it's pretty sad, honestly.
Well, I kind of, for the most part, you're right. Yeah. I will admit, I opened up Letterboxd to typed in female superheroes as like a list to see like what we have, to see like what there is. And, I'm seeing one, The Incredibles 2, it's not bad. I think that's actually like kind of a good example of that.
Yeah. But that's why I said solo. Like that's still an ensemble film.
Patty Jenkins, the first Wonder Woman. I remember that being pretty good.
You're right. The first Wonder Woman was solid.
I'm seeing Furiosa. I'm not sure if I would really. That's not. No, I'm not counting that.
That's a superhero
movie. No, but I mean, it's an action. I mean, you could call it that on it's to some degree. It's not.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen good female-driven action movies, but I'm specifically, truly, I'm mainly focusing on the superhero genre because that's the one that seems to be most distressed.
Yeah. I feel like I guess when I was going into this movie, I went into it knowing that, James Gunn wasn't directing it, but he's still, producing the film. He's still spearheading the whole DC department for Warner Brothers now. So I'm like, okay, I wonder how much of his influence will be present in the movie. And it really just kind of lacked his energy. I think I think his,
it feels like it's trying to be him, but light.
I don't even feel that at all, honestly. I felt like
which is weird because it's a lot darker thematically than his stuff.
I feel like James Gunn really. I said in my review with the Superman movie, but I feel like he really just knows how to embrace the inherent quirkiness, not quirkiness, but inherent goofiness rather of like superhero genre. And he doesn't, he's not like ashamed of it. He just like kind of hones into it. And that usually makes for, great movies. I mean, Guardians are like one of the best Marvel movies. I think the third one's like the best movie he's made. Or of like, actually, that's not true. I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad. I enjoyed Guardians 3. Superman was great too, but this just did not have any of that enthusiasm that he's able to bring to these type of movies. I will admit though, I feel like it was like a better version of like a Star Wars movie, Supergirl, at least with like recent Star Wars movies, at least.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother rant. We've already talked about that with Mandalorian and Grogu.
For sure. But what I was saying was like kind of what I said with the Mandalorian review. I really like when they kind of give into that whole, actual making effort into like the costumes and kind of creating a world with aliens. I remember when I was watching this movie, I was fairly impressed with the alien costume designs. Yeah. I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what I'm saying. There's like certain things I like about the movie, but there was a point where like the movie just kind of fell on its face. And I think it was when, it's not necessarily his fault, but I remember like halfway through the movie, I'm like, okay, this lost its steam. Where exactly did that happen? I feel like it happened when Jason Momoa entered the scene, or entered the film rather, not the scene, but, and it's not necessarily it's not like his fault. It's just mainly the screenplay. I'm like, okay, something happened here where it just kind of just lost its steam for me.
It reminds me, it's worse than even what Spider-Man 3 does, but it reminds me of Spider-Man 3 in the sense that it clearly feels like a studio mandated inclusion because it doesn't make sense to happen in the story. Spider-Man 3, at least, it kind of made sense, but it was still a stretch to shoehorn Venom in that quickly in the film for what amounted to very little time. Given his status, and it's kind of the same thing with Lobo, who Jason Momoa plays. It's like, why is he here right now? Like he's not bad in the role. It's like, why is he a part of this movie?
I was going to say too, because I like Jason Momoa. I think he's criminally underused in a lot of movies. Like I think Dune is a perfect example where he's actually perfectly casted. The director kind of knows what to do with him. Because I rewatched Dune recently, in preparation for Dune 3 that comes out months later. But, in that movie, he's just like inherently charismatic, endearing. He's very loyal to the Atreides family. He just like, he's a great actor in that movie, despite not having a lot to do or say. And in this movie too, Jason Momoa is a great actor. And I feel like he plays this role well, but just heavily underutilized or just not really embraced. Going back to Superman with James Gunn, that's a movie where like there's multiple different characters. There's Green Lantern, there's Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific. And specifically with Mr. Terrific, he is one of the more entertaining parts of the movie. This just did not have that at all, considering that Lobo's in the movie. He was just kind of like, to your point, it's like, he's doing a good job playing him and it's not his fault, but like why he's just not entertaining. He's just kind of like a waste of space and story beats, really.
Yeah. At one point he just disappears from the film and then just reappears for no reason other than just, what I like to refer to as the web of the script, like he's just suddenly reinserted into the story despite having no more purpose to be there. So Yeah, it's
in the whole movie. He's like, sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean that's really all I had to say. It was just a waste. Like there was no reason for him to be in this movie.
The movie kind of goes on this part where they mentions how, I guess, I don't know if it's like a bounty or if he's getting revenge. I forget, but he's kind of selling himself as like, oh, I got to get this guy. And the thing is, when he gets to the villain, when I'm saying the guy, I'm referring to like the antagonist of the film. Yeah, he doesn't do anything. He's almost kind of there to troll with them. He's not really, he like does like a bomb, he like explodes the ship that they're on, but he's not like actually, I'm not really buying the fact that you're out to get this guy. You're just kind of there causing havoc, but you're not actually like achieving what you're saying you want to achieve, which is getting this guy, he felt like just like a troll really for these antagonists.
Yeah, which I mean, covered him. I mean, the villain, I mean, even for a superhero movie, which a lot of times they struggle to do the villain well. This was about as weak. I mean, I made the crack about like, oh yeah, like it's like about it's edgy because it's a bad guy who's a sex trafficker basically in space, but it's also like there's really nothing more to the guy. He's like such it seems like the actor's trying to have fun with the role, but it's just so thinly written. There's only so much you can do,
Yeah, I disagree. I mean, yeah, you're probably right. He probably tried his best, but yeah, the script gives him nothing. You said that, superhero movies for the most part kind of fail when the villain's bad. And I think that's true. The movie's only as good as its villain. I mean, the obvious example is like The Dark Knight. Another one is Infinity War. When you like actually see Thanos, you're like, okay, you feel the impact of what their goal is. It's the stakes are high. But with this one, I'm like, I don't even. Granted, I didn't read the comics. I'm not a Supergirl reader. I didn't read really any comics really. But I don't even know what this guy's name was.
I was just remember either.
It was just like a stand-in villain. He does nothing really memorable. Does he even speak English? Not that that's an issue, but I just like don't remember any lines I had. He was just like remarkably boring.
I want to say he does, but I can't remember honestly. And his name is Krem in the movie.
Krem, yes, that's right.
And that's so funny. I honestly don't remember. I feel like he had to have at least at some point because he does interact with Supergirl at multiple points. So yeah, weird.
I was looking at my notes too. Another thing that like really pulled me out too, it just didn't quite. So I remember like it just wasn't. Despite like the costumes, which looked really cool, the movie just feels cheaper than like the previous century Superman. Like I remember there's like scenes where Supergirl is just like flying around, and it just didn't look convincing at all. It looked purely like CGI. And I don't think that was the case with Superman. Like when he was flying around, I never once like, oh, that looks fake, Like I remember seeing the behind the scenes where he's like on a rig and he's like flying around, like spinning him and stuff. This didn't have any of that. It pulled me out because I'm like, that looks so
CGI,
so fake.
Yeah, bad. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and on that note, Crypto was like noticeably worse. The CGI used for him versus how he was in Superman. So, yeah.
It's a shame because I really thought James Gunn, like producing, I thought he might have had like a little bit more, I guess, like influence over this film. But even Crypto, yeah, you mentioned Crypto's, animation looking bad. I thought also just, I mean, granted, he's not in the movie because I guess spoiler, he's kind of like the reason why Supergirl's off like doing her adventure trying to rescue Crypto. But I guess a better way of trying to explain what I felt like the stakes weren't really.
Carry on, Jose.
What was that?
Carry on.
Okay.
Carry on, Jose.
Were you drilling something?
No, I was. I'm sorry for this interruption, folks. Jose is like a rabbit, or something. Just gets distracted. I was using a small air fan to blow out something on my keyboard.
Okay, I'll send you a screenshot of the audio waves because, like, it startled me. It was loud, but no big deal.
What do you mean? I had it muted. Did it come through?
It came through, yeah.
Wow, okay. Well, that's fun. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for that interruption. No, it's okay.
That's so funny. I'm going to keep that in. I'm not going to edit that out because I need people to hear what they heard, but I heard. But here, I'm sending you the audio waves too, so you can see what it looks like. But yeah, I remember like there was a point where I was like, why are we here? Why are we doing this again? And then I'm like, oh yeah, because it shows crypto. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about crypto. I just feel like not that I necessarily want like lines to be delivered, like, oh, I got to rescue my dog, but I feel like so much happens that you kind of just forget about crypto. I feel like the stakes just the seeds weren't really planted properly.
Yeah, and they really try to make you care about that girl, who's trying to enlist her to help her avenge her family. And I didn't care about her,
No, she was.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was getting moved to something at the end of the movie that I also thought like made the whole movie worse, unless you had stuff more to add to the overall movie.
I guess before, because it sounds like we might get into spoilers, but not much to spoil with a movie like this. Considering how like expansive the universe is that they're working in, I felt like they weren't really kind of utilizing a sense of space. I feel because I'm like, did they move different? I'm like, did they go to different planets? I wasn't quite sure. I felt like they did.
But I agree. It felt very small scale, small locale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was kind of the scene where, there's like I guess a minor spoiler, but there's like a sun, a green sun. It's like kryptonite sun, I'm guessing. And it was at that point when I'm like, are we still on the same planet that we were like before? I was just kind of lost. It just was not utilized properly.
Agreed. Well said. Anyway, about that ending. You remember back in 2013, there was a lot of consternation and hand-wringing over Superman, snapping Zod's neck in the film. People were freaked out about it. Well, this has felt like a lesser version of that. So, yeah, they set up her at one point. She says something like, oh, Superman sees the good in everybody, and I see the truth, as in like she's more cynical and tends to see people more as who they are. And Superman tries to look past that. So they set all that up. And, it's all kind of in service of her arc with the girl being like the girl's dead set on revenge. And she eventually is like, no to the girl. Like, you need to, that's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. And revenge gets you nowhere. And then she just takes revenge, forgets everything she said, completely undermine that whole part of the movie. Literally says, as she kills the guy, Krem, she says like, hey, this is for my dog or something like that, completely doing the very thing she was saying she was against. And it was like, really? Like just so bad, the writing. My friend who saw it with me said, and I think, honestly, I could see this as being part of it, that test audiences probably tweaked it maybe a bit too much. Maybe the guy survived and they were like, no, he needs to die. And then they reshot it with that. I can see that because it's so off based on the dialogue that came before and the story that came before. It's shockingly bad of a conclusion in that regard.
Yeah, I feel like there was like a kind of like a message about like not a message, but an implication like, oh, you don't want to go down this route of like, seeking revenge is not going to lead anywhere. But I'm like, so is like the implication that she's so far down it that she's unfazed by it? And if that's the case, I feel like there's a better way of kind of like communicating that, maybe showing like some past traumas that she's like expressing, but we don't even get that. So
yeah, I mean, maybe, and the whole film is partially her moving past the trauma is what's implied. So of her past. So Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah, like I said, I was kind of enjoying it in the moment just because I was having fun with like, just like aliens and stuff. I will admit, like I said, I'm like, okay, this like feels like a better Star Wars movie.
Jose is a well-known sucker for aliens.
But I mean, I feel like we've been talking a lot of aliens lately. Disclosure Day, Mandalorian.
Yeah,
but
none of them are good.
Yeah,
there's something wrong about that.
Avatar, another one that we talked about.
Yes, the third greatest movie of all time.
Yes, but yeah, they just didn't quite stick, unfortunately. She was going to say, I like the scene where it's funny too because I'm like, I wonder if they're going to ever if they're going to mention at all like, oh, it's a female or whatever. And of course, they had the conversation where it's like, well, why are you Supergirl instead of Superwoman? I'm like, okay, there it is, which isn't inherently bad, but
it did feel very, very like shoehorned in. Mainly of when it takes place. Now, I will say, if it was like being treated as more kind of grounded film, which it absolutely is not, then that would make sense to ask that. But it's not delivered that way. It's delivered in a very like shoehorn, ham-fisted manner.
The biggest shame of this all is that I thought that maybe we'll finally get like better DC movies with James Gunn spearheading it all, but I think it's only going to happen if he's directing the movies, it seems.
Yeah, we'll see. There's a lot to be determined, but yeah, it's not a promising start away from him, so it's too bad. Unfortunately, I cannot give Supergirl a rating. I don't even hate the movie. It was just lame. It's a solid 5 out of 10, which just means it's forgettable as can be for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think I gave it a 6. In fact, I think my Letterboxd review, I think all I said was verbatim, putting a 5 here in place of a light 6. But it really is like a 5 out of 10. I don't remember much about it. And I think the only reason why I remember is because it's actually one of the few times where I took notes. You can see right there, I kind of wrote quite a bit. But
it wasn't like a bunch of people in the movie theater who would be upset at you for doing that.
No. So just to be clear, this was immediately after the movie. I was sitting in my car and I just kind of jotted stuff down. I would never do that during the movie.
He respects the sanctity of the theatrical experience.
Despite how bad a movie could be, I'm never going to do that.
Exactly.
You'll never see, except when I take a photo to ensure I'm in the right movie.
That's true, but that was necessary. You had to confirm, totally. I will say the Intergalactic Fizz cocktail was pretty solid, but honestly, I say that it wasn't pretty solid. It was just all right. I probably enjoyed it more than the movie, but it was just okay. So 6 of 10 for the Intergalactic Fizz cocktail.
Nice. Cool. I can't say anything about that, but cool. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say, but I will say this. I do like the actress. I'm kind of upset that she's not, because I think she's really based off what she's playing as Supergirl, based off her performance, I should say. I could tell she wants to take this project very seriously, but yeah, it's kind of a shame that she's not getting her justice for this film.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair to her, she's not the problem with the movie. It's not like she's a bad actress or something. It's just the script. The script is really bad. And that's the thing. And there's only so much a good actor can do with the script that bad. So,
yeah.
Well,
hopefully for a better movie.
Yeah, before we segue into... Well, actually, we should segue into a better movie. Let's talk about what I watched on July 4th, just briefly. Quick interlude before we move to our next in theaters now. I finally got around to seeing that 2012 classic film based on the Hasbro property, Battleship, featuring such stars as Rihanna, Liam Neeson, some guy who's the main lead that I can't remember his name because he's forgettable as can be, and Alexander Scott. I can't say his name. You know what I'm talking about. Skarsgård.
Skarsgård.
Yeah, Skarsgård. What what an entertainingly bad movie, I gotta say. It was one of those that's bordered on so bad it's good. It was just mine. It was one of those movies. It's shocking. You look at how much they spent on the film, and it's like, my gosh, they spent all that money and they still couldn't get a halfway decent film. It looked that bad and was written that bad. There's a lot of like crazy stuff. It features aliens, funnily enough, a common theme.
Hey, look at that.
And which also makes no sense since, it's based on a naval strategy game. So it's just so bad. I think it can be.
The actor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the actor I think you're talking about is Taylor Kitsch.
Yes. Thank you.
The lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm looking, and I think that movie might have ruined his career because it looks like he was in some like early kind of blockbuster movies. So it looked like he was kind of getting up there.
I remember he was in John Carter as well, which bombed.
He was.
So, yeah.
He was on Snakes in a Plane. He was on Wolverine Origins, Lone Survivor.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
I mean, Lone Survivor is decent, but overall pretty bad filmography. And it was so bad. It's crazy. One of my favorite lines is, "I'm telling you, it's the North Koreans." Isn't that great?
Is that really?
That's really a line in the movie, and it's when the aliens first appear, and people are like, "What is this?" And one of the guys is like delivers that line like hardcore, like, "I'm telling you, it's the North Koreans."
Huh. Propaganda was intense. One was 2012.
12, yeah.
I didn't realize there was such a threat back in those days, but I guess it makes sense.
I mean, they've been threats since they've had a nuclear weapon, but it not to the point where that would be a rational thing to say at that point.
Yeah, that's weird.
And it's not
that's
delivered weird. Like it feels like one of those like filler lines that's meant to convey kind of the world, but it just sounds ridiculous. So, yeah. I remember Battleship. It got destroyed in its first weekend by the Avengers, rightfully so. And yeah.
Blast from the past. That's funny.
Blast from the past. I remember that because it was, the Avengers was just like rolling over everybody at that point, and people were like, Battleship absolutely sucks. It's like mind-numbingly bad. So, what better way to celebrate July 4th than watching one of the greatest naval warfare movies ever, Battleship, based on the Hasbro property? 1 of 10. Your enjoyment level is close to a 10 of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a few beers deep, to be clear, so that might have also helped.
Fair. Okay, cool. I don't know if I'm going to watch that, but we'll see. Maybe. Should we talk about some movies that we saw independently that we'll just briefly?
Oh, we can. Did you want to do that or go to the movie we both saw?
I think we should do this, and then we'll kind of close off with
no worries.
Real quickly, just a fun little fact that I found out: Obsession finally surpassed Star Wars in the box office, which is so funny.
Mandalorian Grogu, to be clear,
it makes sense, but yeah.
Nice.
What a feat!
It's deservedly so. One of the best movies of the year. We've talked about it before, and it's still going. As it turns out, a good friend of ours recently met some of the crew. So I keep being, just a few people removed from being involved in that production. Kind of.
Right on.
I'm not involved with that production at all. Anyway,
I guess the movies we talked about. Sam watched The Minions and Monsters. I watched Evil Dead Burn. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Minions and Monsters. It features minions. It features monsters.
Whoa.
And together they make for a powerful combo. And it's really fun. It's honestly a little sad for me that movie's doing bad because it kind of represents a swing by the studio. And obviously it's not connecting. It's doing the worst out of the Minions so far. It will still make money, but not nearly as much as the previous movies have made. It follows the Minions in the early Hollywood days, and some of the Minions want to be filmmakers, and so it's about them essentially trying to become filmmakers in their quest to make a movie. And there's a lot of, like, if you're a cinephile, a lot of old movie callbacks, references. The minor spoiler, the film opens with the regular Universal logo and then rewinds to all the previous Universal logos.
That's fun.
Going in. It's very fun. And there's a bunch of stuff. It has a great cameo by George Lucas.
I saw that.
It's fantastic. It's fun. It's a fun movie. It's funny. It's surprisingly edgy for a kid's film. There's a spoiler. There's a moment where a guy's head is straight up decapitated.
Really?
There's no blood, but he was decapitated, and it's like clear he was decapitated. Yeah. It was pretty brutal. I was shocked. I mean, I loved it, but I was kind of shocked it made it in there.
So what's like the plot of the movie? That's kind of like where I'm lost. Is it just like them trying to make a movie?
Trying to make a movie, and they want to make a movie. One of the Minions wants to make a movie that features monsters, and so they end up unleashing these monsters from the spell book that they had from a previous boss that was a magician. And they kept the spell book, and they go to the spell book to unleash these monsters to use in the movie. And that's where the monsters come into play. And of course, the monsters want to eat things and wreck things and, be monstrous. So that's the plot. There's also a really funny like subplot that kind of comes out of nowhere featuring an alien. Actually, there we are again. The aliens are having a moment, and that's actually really, really funny what they do with that. There's also, just because there's a little bit thrown in there about the women's right to vote, because it's taking place at the same time that women were pushing to vote, gain the right to vote, and that's just in there. It's really funny, like the amount of stuff. Like it's kind of a hodgepodge of different things, but like it still works cohesively, and it's just funny. Like it's not taking it too seriously, and I recommend Minions and Monsters. I say 7 of 10. Jose, it's a good time. Should be doing better.
When you told me like we should talk about that, I'm like, I guess one final question, like, because I know the Minions don't really talk. They don't like have a language that I speak. Is it almost like a silent film in that way? Like, is it kind of like you're just piecing together what they're doing, or
no, not at all? No, you can easily track it.
Is there like an audience character where like you're kind of understanding what's happening through like a character?
There's multiple characters who provide dialogue throughout, but you would be able to tell what the Minions are doing even without those characters.
For sure. Okay. I mean, it's a kids movie, so I kind of figured, but I was just kind of like interested in that aspect. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I felt bad when he texted, we should talk about it. And I said, like, I'm not watching that. I guess what I meant to say was,
a real movie. He's not a real movie buff. He's a fake cinephile. Real cinephiles go watch Minions and Monsters.
I'm thinking, like, I don't know if I didn't, like, at this point in my life, I have to, dedicate time on my weekend or just, like, time on any day to go watch a movie. And I'm like, I'm just not going to really try to find time to watch this one. This is concerning too that
and then you go see stuff like Evil Dead Burn.
Yeah, which I'll talk about in a second. But I mean, we'll see. Maybe I'll check it out if it's on VOD or something. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know this was like the 7th movie. Honestly, I didn't even know like there's sequels to. I mean, I knew there was like a sequel, but I didn't realize there's like multiple sequels to Despicable Me. I forget there's like 2 other standalone Minion movies. I guess I'm just so detached from this franchise that.
Yeah, I mean, it was my first Minions. So it's not like I honestly only went to see it because of hearing about all the movie references. So of which there are many. And It was fun. It was a good time. It's a good time for the whole family, one decapitation aside.
Okay. The movie that I saw separate from Sam was Evil Dead Burn. It's a sequel. It's a sequel to the previous movie, Evil Dead Rise. But the thing is, you can't really, these movies aren't really tied in that sense. So basically it's the villain of the movie, the monster, if you will, is just like evil. It's evil personified. And kind of like Minions, there's like a book, and the book just kind of like unleashes evil. And I think the reason why I was trying to get you to watch it too is because, Sam Raimi was the guy who started the franchise and kind of what launched his career. Sam Raimi being the guy who we know today as like the director of Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man trilogy. And what the movies are today is just kind of like a vessel for, because the stories aren't really tied together, and it's such like a niche franchise. The film directors are kind of given full liberty to just have fun with the franchise. I'm sure there's like things they have to follow, but I can't imagine like the studio's like, oh, you got to make sure this happens or that happens. They got to follow the formula just because that's what the franchise is. But at the end of the day, it's just like filmmakers just having a lot of fun. Each movie kind of having its own different voice to the point where it's like it's almost like they work in their own terms. You know what I'm saying? The previous Evil Dead Rise was pretty scary. I actually showed it to my mom and dad, which is funny. We saw it as a family.
And what did Mama Papa Mendoza think?
They thought it was like terrifying, which is perfect. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of what the movie's meant to be. We all had fun, and like I remember my mom was like, "Oh, that's so gross," but that's like the point of these movies, The thing is, like, there's like worse horror movies. I just would not show them. But this one's like, okay, it's creepy, but I think you guys can tolerate it. This one is like actually kind of funny. There's like humorous moments in it. Kind of like a spoiler, but like there's like it's not a spoiler, but there's like a old woman in the movie. She has dementia. And while like everything's happening downstairs, like, evil's attacking the family, the old woman's taking like a conveyor belt up the stairs, and it does like a cutaway. And she's like, "Are you guys okay down there?" So it's kind of like things like that, which it's not overwhelmingly funny, but it's like a good amount that pays tribute to like Sam Raimi style, which I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. But beyond that too, the movie, I think what a horror movie works at is when they make you kind of, give you the ick. This movie does that quite a bit, and it's not even related to blood. There's like a scene where, I'm just using evil because that's like, they're not zombies, but it's like, possession.
Deadites is what the official franchise term is.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. She pulls off like dentures, the deadite from like the old woman, puts it in her mouth, and then puts it back in the old woman's. I'm like, it's not blood related. I'm like, that sounds like I can't watch that. So I don't know. I had a lot of fun. I think for people who are into film, there's a lot to get out of it just because like they do a lot of cool, like camera shots and cuts and angles. The practical effects are great too. I don't know if it's better than the previous movie, but they're just kind of fun horror. Like as a horror fan, they're just kind of fun ways to watch the genre for sure.
It's kind of interesting because you're the most positive thing I've heard of the movie. Most things I've seen on the movie have been pretty like, it's just another Evil Dead movie in the negative sense. Like it just feels formulaic and to a fault, So they do all say most of the reviews I've read all do highlight like, oh yeah, there's some like actually really well done like gross out moments and stuff in it. So from that standpoint, I suppose it's successful.
I mean, you're right. They are formulaic. Like the biggest flaw with this movie and the last movie is just like, it'd be nice if there was a little more substance to these movies. But, at the end of the day, they are formulaic to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm checking my clock. I'm like, okay, this is going on for a little too long. I'm kind of ready for it to wrap up. But like I said, it's really just like the passion behind the filmmaking. Like they're having a lot of fun with these angles and all that stuff. That's kind of where the main factor is.
So, all right, does this leave you excited for the next film in the franchise, or are you at all like, they probably should start wrapping up?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like it's excitement just because I'm like, because it's always different film directors. Um, and I should mention that they're not like big name directors, right? It's just kind of like people who are given a chance to kind of express what they're capable of. So I'm excited in the sense I'm like, okay, what's the next one going to be like? How's this going to be different? Like I said, they work on their own terms. So I'm just kind of excited to see what they do next. It's not like a continuous story. It's not like there's an end to it. It's just like,
Doesn't Burn tie into Rise a little bit?
a little bit, but it's not like you have to watch the previous one. Basically, what happens is the opening scene in Evil Dead Rise is like at a lake, and the Deadites attack like some campers. The opening of this movie is back at that lake with like different campers. The Deadite from the Evil Dead Rise has returned to like wreak havoc on these campers. And that's just kind of launching point. But the thing is, I didn't even know that going into it. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I was reading Wikipedia. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, that is like the tie-in. But again, it's not like there's sequels, but they're not really. They're more kind of what's a word?
Anthology?
Spin-offs almost.
Yeah, okay.
Anthology. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Go. So if you're a horror fan and you like blood and guts, go see Evil Dead Burn.
6 out of 10 for me. Last thing I want to say, because we have to talk about Invite because I know we're running late, but what this reminded me of was Hokum. I feel like after letting Hokum sit for a little bit, my main issue with that movie was that there was a lot of themes, but it didn't quite, hold them all tightly. It didn't feel like recognized. It felt like it was very loose with the themes. With this one, I felt like the themes were really well recognized and kind of compact and pretty coherent in that sense. So I don't know. When I was watching this, I'm like, you know what? This is like almost like a better version of Hokum, at least with the
interesting comparison.
Screenplay. Yeah, no, I agree. It's weird, but that's what I thought about.
Yeah. Interesting. So if you like Hokum, or if you thought you were left wanting with Hokum, go see Evil Dead Burn. A solid 6 of 10 via Jose Mendoza.
Thank you, Sam.
Hey, I'm here for you, bro.
And we got one more movie to talk about, one that we saw.
Well, actually, a couple of quick hitters. I watched 10 Things I Hate About You last weekend. It's pretty solid, fun rom-com. A lot of people like that film. Makes you really miss Heath Ledger more. We lost him too soon. Great talent. And I watched The Godfather Part 2 for the first time. And I just have like one thing to say on that. I think it's the rare film. I liked it still, but not as much as I'd hoped to. I think it's the rare film that would have benefited from this day and age of franchise filmmaking, because I think it would have been a better movie if the Vito storyline had been spun off completely into its own film as opposed to being interwoven with the main story, Michael's story, and Godfather Part 2. So I would have preferred just a prequel with De Niro. Obviously, back then that wasn't really top of mind with people, but I do think that would have helped both those storylines be better than what they were.
Yeah, the Vito story is definitely the more entertaining part from what I remember. I think I liked it more than you overall, the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's been a while after we watched it.
Yeah. Anyway, going on to the invite, as you were. Did you accept the invite?
I did accept the invite. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as you or as much as other people seem to be, but I had a great time overall. Of course, we're talking about like Olivia Wilde's new movie. I was going to say Olivia Colman. Olivia Wilde's new movie. And it was premiered at Sundance, and it kind of made a little splash. And I feel like a lot of people are saying this was her kind of breakout from director jail, considering that her last movie was like critically flopped, which is, of course, Don't Worry, Darling. But and I will say too, I'm not sure if have you seen any of Olivia Wilde's movies?
I have not.
Like director, no. And that's the thing too. Like, I'm not really familiar with Olivia Wilde. I know she's famous, but in my Letterboxd review, I said like I don't really recognize her from any movies. I guess she's in the movie Her by Spike Jonze and Babylon with Damien Chazelle.
She's also just to continue a theme, also in Cowboys vs. Aliens.
There you go. That's true.
Aliens all over the place in this episode.
She's and we talked about Wemby for a while too, also an alien, but
It's true. They're
during the playoffs. I can't ever say like she I'm sure she's a great actress. She proved herself in this movie, but she never really gave any sort of memorable performances where I'm able to like, recognize her. I'm sure she was good in those movies, but again, there was just like other better aspects from those two movies where I couldn't quite like connect the dots with her. I liked her original movie Booksmart, but it was the same DNA as Superbad, so I definitely prefer Superbad over Booksmart. Don't Worry, Darling was just like horribly, horribly, horribly boring, and just not really recognized. I guess I keep saying that word, but yeah, it just felt very unsatisfying. But this is actually the first movie where I enjoyed quite a bit from her. I think this is like very much her and her element. Yeah, I just thought it was pretty well executed.
Yeah, I think so. I was really honestly surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I'm not a big Seth Rogen fan, so I was pretty worried going in that he would kind of ruin the movie for me. But he was solid. I still wouldn't say he was dramatically different from all of his other performances, but he had it toned back enough to deliver like a good dramatic, still interlaced with humor throughout. Olivia Wilde, I had seen her two previous films. I just knew him by reputation, but I was more impressed in this beyond even just the direction, which is impressive, especially given most of the film takes place in one location. She great acting skills as well. I thought she was, along with Edward Norton, the two standouts. Nothing against Seth Rogen or Penelope Cruz; they were still good as well. But I thought her and Edward Norton, for different reasons, were the two standouts. And like, yeah, these people can act. So she, and also the film as a whole, which is adapted from a foreign film, it felt very much like one of those cinematic equivalents of a train wreck, like you see like the couple disintegrating before your eyes, and like also see like all the different things that's like if they just did this different, their lives would be so much easier. They would still love each other. And the film does kind of, I think, end in a somewhat optimistic fashion. So somewhat open to interpretation, but I think it's more positive than not. But it does a really good job at just exploring like how you can let stuff eat away at you over time if you don't address it, and then it just leads to problems later on. But man, was it funny.
Yeah. It's I describe the movie as like snappy with the dialogue.
Excellent, excellent description.
It was just like, very back and forth. I never really felt like the movie dragged, just because like, it's like one thing to the next. The actors, played off each other very well. And I agree to the two stand up. Actually, I don't know. I think Seth Rogen was a big standout as well. I actually like Seth Rogen a lot. I know he's not really on the same level as like Edward Norton, but we know him from like stoner comedies, and I feel like, despite being older than us, I feel like he's really maturing. He's kind of like, it's like a new chapter in his career, considering that he did this, and based off what I heard about the studio, that's like another thing that he's kind of like crafted as his own. Mm-hmm. But no, I was able to, when I was watching this movie, I didn't think like, oh, that's Seth Rogen. I kind of like bought into the character that he was playing. Penelope Cruz is also great, but I feel like she was just she did it well. Don't get me wrong, but she was very one note. She was just like very, like she knew what she wanted, and that was pretty much it. I feel like every other actor was kind of like, they had some opportunity to like,
had more layers to them. Yeah. To the character. Yeah.
They were able to, express different emotions. So, I mean, it's kind of a shame because I know Penelope Cruz is good and she's still good in this movie, but she just didn't really have the opportunity to kind of like show off a lot. There was like a lot of like funny moments. Like, I'm thinking where, like the opening scene is basically like Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde kind of talking about like the charcuterie board and how he doesn't even want people to come over. And she worked so hard to make the charcuterie board, and then it's revealed that Penelope Cruz can't even eat anything on the charcuterie board. And it's just like, it's funny. It's just like, issue after issue and just nothing going the way that either of the characters want. It's just so funny.
Yeah. It just spinning out,
Yeah. It's funny too, because I was hearing more and more about this movie as it was being released. I saw an ad on Instagram about like Edward Norton kind of promoting the movie. And at the end of the ad, he says like, "Oh, bring your favorite foursome to see this movie." And I'm like, is that what this movie is about? But the thing is, like, it's not actually. That's not true. I was a little uncomfortable during the scene. I think you know what we're talking about, which I'm not going to spoil here yet.
Olivia Wilde.
They kind of reveal. No, they reveal like the neighbors kind of reveal.
Oh, yeah, what they were doing. Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is a little weird, but the thing is, like, I feel like it's not grotesque, it doesn't show anything, but it's almost like a little mild.
No, I mean, it's also played for laughs. It's kind of played as like, wow, look at these these people, they're kind of out there, so yeah, I didn't think it was like it came off weird. I mean, in some ways the film was partially mocking kind of how weird it is, so
And I can imagine too, with rewatches, I feel like the movie could be better. An immediate thing I noticed was, if you remember, like Edward Norton's character, he was like a firefighter. Now he's like obsessed with, I forgot what I think he's like a masseuse or something.
It's masseuse. He's obsessed with rugs.
Yeah. I'm not sure if like you could, I remember hearing that masseuse isn't like appropriate to say, but whatever. He's a massage therapist. But there's a point, I don't know. I remember hearing that from someone whose parent is
apologize for all the massage therapists out there that I improperly called you or referred to your profession as a masseuse. My apologies.
But there's a scene where he's obsessed with rugs and he like crawls on the rug that Olivia Wilde purchased like the day of, and he's like, "Oh, I just want to crawl on this naked." If it's obvious because like that's what they do in their apartment upstairs. I feel like there's gonna be like little things like that which you might catch on the second watch. Like, oh, that's why they're doing that or why they're saying that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The movie is very layered too because last comment, like well before the neighbors' intentions, which it's I think we can just say they want to have like a
group sex. They want to have group sex
basically. Yeah. The scene where like they kind of both separate from the crowd and kind of doing their own things, like Seth Rogen smoking weed with Penelope Cruz, and then Olivia Wilde's giving a house tour. That whole thing like felt uncomfortable too, and you can't quite put your finger on it. But you're like, this seems very flirtatious. Like, are they going to cheat on each other? It does a good job kind of revealing the undertones of what their objectives are.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
No, I totally agree. The film's marketing was very deliberate and like hyping up, like what is the titular invite? What is the big shocking thing, that Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde can't believe about Cruz and Norton's characters. And so it is, especially given what the reveal is, it's really funny and also like subversive because you're expecting it to be a lot more, I don't know if scandalous is the right word, but more shocking than it actually ends up being. It's like, oh, these people are just weird. That's what it is. It's not like it's some horrible thing or criminal thing, like kind of contrasting it with the drama earlier in the year, which also had, deliberate, kept one of the big plot points under wraps in the marketing. Not this was much less intense than that, like in terms of what the plot point was. But it was good. It really helped kind of aid the story because it through that weird, those weird neighbors, you got to see just how fractured the marriage of Olivia Wilde and Seth Rogen's characters were. And yeah, it was a fun film. It was good. It was a fun film. It was truly a dramedy, in my opinion. Like it was absolutely a drama, but it was also absolutely hilarious. at times, in my opinion. So 100% a dramedy and pretty fun.
Definitely. One thing I said in my review was like, it feels like a timeless story. I feel like, with a little tinkering, which I said in my review, it feels like it's, the movie could have been of any era, it could have been a movie from the 60s. It feels like it will be relevant in the future, but it just feels like a timeless story,
Yeah,
maybe not the group sex part, but like just kind of the
dynamics of the marriage,
the deterioration
of the relationship.
Yeah, exactly. Deterioration of a marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I have to say too, the opening credits was really well done too. It really does a good job of like getting you excited.
Yeah.
Kind of captures the atmosphere of the movie. If you remember, it was just like a lot of like cuts and just kind of like, I remember there's like a scene where I think it follows like Seth Rogen like riding a bike across the frame or something.
Yeah.
And it's like the set director kind of like follows. Like I've never seen that done before. I'm like, that's kind of clever. I like that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was very artistic. In a good way, not just felt for the sake. Like it felt fun. Like they were having a blast. I think. I think for me, the big moral that you take from this movie is that married people should have more sex. What do you think?
I think it was more like learn to communicate properly.
No,
I think that's kind of like the main.
No, you're right. That is. Okay. I'm just being facetious.
One thing I want to point out, which I read on Letterboxd, which is so funny. I'm like, that's so true. It's something that I thought about subconsciously, but the layout of the apartment just does not make any sense.
It's really weird, which I think they do reference a couple of times at how weird it is, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And they did say they renovated it, and made it different than probably what it was before.
Which makes me wonder if that was intentional, like if there was any sort of like, your lobe discombobulated the same way these characters might be. But I don't know. I might be just looking too much into it.
Yeah,
honestly.
maybe had thought about that. Yeah. Well, anything more to say on that now?
I wish Edward Norton was in more movies.
Yeah, Edward Norton is fantastic. Yeah, he's got range. There's a lot of you mentioned earlier. I'm glad you reminded me. You mentioned earlier about how you feel like there's a lot of things you would pick up in the movie. I feel like with his performance, there's a lot of like subtle things to his performance in particular, given what you find out about his character very specifically as time goes on. Like there's just like little ticks and stuff he does that I was picking up in the moment of the film and realizing it was going to pay off. But I feel like there's probably even more that I missed, not knowing how it was going to go. So excellent performance by him.
He's really good at being smooth.
Yeah.
That's how I describe him. Yeah, he's a smooth.
Yeah, he's he's a little. He comes across a little slimy in this movie. A little bit. Just a hint. You find out more. He actually has a surprisingly deep like character arc the more you find out about him. But it's
he's a little conniving.
Yeah. He's not exactly just because you find that out doesn't necessarily mean you sympathize with him too much.
Right.
Nor are you supposed to. So
right.
Yeah. So what's you gave it a 6 or 7?
No, I gave it a 7. Definitely open to watching again. I just don't quite know why I didn't enjoy as much as other people did. But I enjoyed it overall though. I thought it was good. I thought it was great. I don't know. 7 out of 10. Great time. Fun time.
Nice. I gave it a good 8, It was it was fun. It was one of those movies I can't say I'm going to go back and rewatch over and over, but I might give it another watch. I feel like it would, for the right crowd, be a good group watch. Yeah. Just with some of the humor and dialogue, very witty. You mentioned like snappy earlier. I would also say witty, like a lot of the humor involved. So 8 of 10. Olivia Wilde's new movie. She's not half bad.
No, she's not. Yeah. I think last thing I want to say, I think what it comes down to is just not really my type of like a movie that you kind of compared it to earlier was like the drama. Yeah. It's just not really like my cup of tea. It's not like kind of a movie that I am drawn to of this nature. But if I'm totally okay with movies like this, though. If it's going to be of that nature, I want them more like this, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree. Totally am there. Well, that was exciting. We covered a lot of movies, Jose. Did you think we would cover that many movies in that amount of time?
No, I think we talked about 6 movies.
Yeah, we talked about 6 movies. We didn't even get into, I'll just very brief, little postscript talk about another movie. I got the chance to see a showing of The Master in 70 millimeter. And affirmed it's my second favorite PTA film. And I feel like that film, I was talking with a friend, like I can't even say like I can always like put my finger on what that film evokes for me. And I feel like I'm going to keep having that, but it clearly like evokes something as you watch it. It's really, really good. Highly recommend rewatching The Master many times.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You can't tell why, but it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's a great film.
Yeah.
And with that, Mr. Mendoza, we've had some popcorn. We've talked about some pictures. And are we ready to sign off?
I'm ready to sign off.
All right. We're going to sign off, ladies and gentlemen. Another great talk. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging with us, spending your evening with us, or morning. Maybe you're going to be listening to this in the morning. Maybe where your wake up, part of your wake up routine. Who knows? We welcome you to listen anytime you feel like it, whether it's right as soon as the episode releases or some other time. Next episode, I think it's fair to say that we're going to be talking about a certain epic currently in theaters that we referenced earlier in the podcast, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, so stay tuned for that. But otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, have a good rest of your night, morning, day, what have you. Have a good one. I'm your host, Sam Karpinski, signing off, and that is your co-host, Jose Mendoza. We're also signing off. Bye, everybody.